Austin, I want to tell you about some things I've noticed in this book. I was given this book, or one just like it, almost 70 years ago in the north end of Rio Linda. That's the little town that Rush Limbaugh used to talk about, how we were all ignorant people. I was given the book in the kitchen of a house by a friend, and she testified to me that she knew that it was true. And when she got done, then her mother stepped over and she stated that she knew. Now, they didn't tell me how they knew, but they knew absolutely that this book that they were giving me was true. When I received it, I had never even heard of the Book of Mormon. As I opened the pages and looked at it, I didn't know what to think. And they explained to me that I should read it and then pray about it. So I began reading and praying as I was reading. I didn't get any great message, not for me. You have to understand, maybe at that time in my life, it seemed like I had everything I needed. I had fantastic family. My mother and father were wonderful people. I had one sibling, an older brother, who was just a great person. I bought a car and paid for it. I played music and spent one school year every day after school, almost every day, on a television program playing music for an hour program. And so I had some degree of notoriety and the opportunity to have everything that a 16-year-old boy would want. I still wanted to know the Lord better, but I struggled with this book. I read it and I prayed over it. And for a year, I never had an answer. Finally, things happened in my life where I was truly, I felt very humbled and broken down. And so finally one night, at 2 or 3 o'clock actually in the morning, I raised out of bed on the ranch and I slept outside on an outside porch. So I went over the railing of the porch and shimmied down and walked down the old road about a mile into one of the pastures and knelt again in the middle of the field and asked the Lord if it was true. And something happened. I came to know in an instant that it was true. With some joy, I went back through the fence and walked the mile back to the house, shimmied back up that post because I didn't want to wake anyone in the house. Can you imagine that? I could no more shimmy than 2 feet today, but I shimmied up the post, went back to bed. Well, that was my introduction to the Book of Mormon. But I've discovered some things about the book, and I just want to share just one thing with you today. This book, within it, tells us that it's going to be known throughout the world. And I can show you on each page of the Book of Mormon today that it's true. There are traces, there's elements within it on every page which demonstrate to me that Joseph Smith or anyone around him could have possibly written this book. Well, if you just open the book and just look at a brief analysis of the Book of Mormon, the Book of Mormon says that it's going to go out with the gospel it teaches to every nation, kindred, tongue, and people. Well, now you have to understand the situation. When it was published in 1830, Joseph Smith, who actually produced it, he said that he translated it from an ancient record, the gold plates. He was a 24-year-old farmer with just 20 acres of ground to farm. He had little to no education. He didn't have resources. So actually to publish it, to go to the world, a friend put up $3,000 and mortgaged part of his farm for him to publish it. They thought that the book would sell for maybe $2 a copy that didn't work. They ended up with 5,000 copies and pretty well giving those copies away. Joseph Smith only lived 14 years after that, and then he was killed. Well, during that 14 years, he was forced out of New York and out of Pennsylvania, out of Ohio, out of Missouri, to Illinois. And eventually, the people who followed him were driven out of Illinois. It started very meekly and rather sorely. Well, since then, there have been about 20 million books published in the United States. 20 million books. So, how does this book rate today? You should be interested to know, remembering what was said in the book, that it would be published and go to the whole world and become a major, major work, even a marvelous work. Today, this book is #1 of all books published in the United States ever. The second book to it falls about 20 to 30% lower. There's been approximately 200 million of these books printed. But going to the world means that it has to go to different countries and different languages. And so it has been published in over 130 different languages. You can look at Translate Day, which is a major translation company in Spain. They, in their research and studies, keep track of what books have been translated into the most languages. The Book of Mormon is number 8 in the whole world at this time, and growing. The book says that it's going to go to the whole world and be a major, major work. How did Joseph Smith know in 1830? Without the plates, how could he possibly make such a claim that this would happen? It has happened because there really were plates of gold from which he transcribed and translated the book.